Hello, princesses, and welcome back to Not Fit for Print Beauty with me, Rebecca. Today we are here to talk about another concealer. This is my fourth concealer video in like just a little over a week. There's been a lot of releases. Today we're going to look at the much anticipated IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Dark Spots Serum Concealer. That's right, it's a serum concealer. Oh, what do they mean, a serum concealer? You know, it has a lot of skincare properties, and it is supposed to kind of be a little bit like a color corrector and concealer, because in the name it says Bye Bye Dark Spots. Now, many of you have been talking to me and anticipating the release of this because IT Cosmetics is a really reliable source for so many people for foundations and basic complexion products. So many of you like their CC cream. It's a little too thick for me, but a lot of you love it. And of course, they have so many beautiful powders and things that this has been highly anticipated. I purchased mine on QVC, so for $39.98 I got two, but I linked that below. But also for $30 you can just get one, and I linked that on Ulta and on Sephora. But like I said, for just like $10 more, you get two on QVC. There are 18 shades. I got the shade Light Neutral 22. You'll see in the demo, it's a teeny bit too light for me, but I am now starting to put my concealer on before rather than after my foundation, and I'm kind of liking it, and it brightens up the face. I don't know, it's just a little new technique that I actually stumbled upon only recently in doing these color corrector concealer videos and starting with no makeup on, so you can really truly see if it's working. Foundation covers a little bit. But this does come in 18 shades. The LN22 is a little light for me, but it does work. This promises, with its serum, promises to minimize pores and dark spots. It has a medium, it says, I would say light medium, but we'll talk about that in a moment, natural finish. And this has a built-in brush, just like our friend, the Urban Decay 24 Hour, which is actually, I guess I can almost call this my fifth concealer review, because it wasn't too long ago that I did this Urban Decay Quickie review. I'll link that below too. So we'll test out that brush in the demo. I always like my own brushes, but we'll test it out, and we'll talk about a few different things and what I like and don't like about it. But before we go to the demo, since this is a concealer review, you guys should know my channel by now. I like to put concealers on what I call a concealer spectrum or range. I have found in my tons of years, too many years, in the beauty industry as a beauty editor, people don't understand concealer recommendations unless you place it either next to or opposed to a concealer they love or hate. And I feel that concealers go in a spectrum. Pat McGrath being very, very thick, you have to use very little of it, very spare, or you will get cakiness and going into fine lines. Some people love that. I can't stand it. Pat McGrath is super thick like that. I think the KVD Good Apple and of course the original Shape Tape from Tarte, not the creamy, but the original Shape Tape, are that really, really thick concealer. All the way at this end, on the other end, we have something like my beloved Giorgio Armani Power Fabric, which is a thinner consistency, but I think still does a really nice job of coverage. I did talk about the Valentino. That is water with a little bit of tint in it. I will not put it even on the spectrum at all. It was out of frame when I did the comparison with it. So we will leave the Giorgio Armani Power Fabric as the thinnest and most pliable. Then we have some that are straight dab in the middle. And for that, I would say the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful is right there in the middle, lighter to middle. The Dior Forever is right there in the middle. And I already did this review, if you missed it the other day. The new Givenchy Prisme Libre is right there in the middle too. I would actually rank them like this. Lightest to most heaviest medium, but still really medium. The Urban Decay Quickie, since I have it out here, kind of goes right here, toward a little more towards the thickest, but not that thick. So where does the IT go? Well, this being the middle, I would put the IT right about here. It's lighter than these three mediums, but it's closer to medium coverage than it is to super light coverage. So I would say this is a light medium coverage. It bills itself as medium coverage. I would say light medium coverage, but very workable. Very, very workable. If you appreciate a medium coverage concealer, you'll like it. It's just a little lighter than maybe you're used to, than maybe a true medium, I would say. But let me know if you need any help getting through that. I mean, let me know. A lot of people will say, what about this concealer? It's my favorite. Where is it on your spectrum? You're welcome to ask. I just think that's the best way to do it. If you are looking for something that's super light and watery, go for that Valentino or go for this Giorgio Armani. I mean, that's what you're going to like. If you like Giorgio Armani, you're not going to like Pat McGrath, and the other way around. Haven't found anybody who does. It's like in high school. You either like geometry or you like algebra, right? You don't ever like both. Have you ever noticed that? One of those interesting things. All right, let us go. High school reference? Let us go ahead to the demo now and see what you think of this in action. Let me apologize. I got nothing on my face in the next scene. Proceed with caution. Okay, let's try this out. Now, had you been seeing this video probably even a month ago, frankly, I would already have my base foundation on because, we tend to do concealer after foundation. But this happens to be the 4th color correcting concealer video I've done. And I don't have a color corrector with it. But I'm finding that on camera, when I put the concealer on first, a little bit of a strange order, I know, you guys can actually see if it's really working. Foundations are so good these days that if I put foundation on first, it's actually doing a little bit of concealing and color correcting, by its very nature. So let's go ahead and put this on completely bare skin, and we're going to try the little, I brought some brushes over, but we're going to try the little attached brush at the top. Now, Urban Decay has this 24-hour quickie concealer, which I actually really like. It's got some good coverage on it, but it too has a brush. It's too short, too stiff, too it doesn't work. So this one looks a little bit longer, so maybe it'll work, but I brought some brushes over, kind of anticipating that it won't work, to be frank with you. Now, I will, of course, be putting some foundation over. Now, let me just show you again. I have done this in other videos, and I will link my other videos below with color correctors. We're not using color corrector this time. So see this here? These are my dark caverns of despair on my eyes. This is caused by stress, lack of sleep, general angst. You have it too, I'm sure. Okay, so this is a little bit lighter and a little bit of a drier formula. Let's go ahead and take this little thing and see if it does. Okay, not my favorite. I would much rather use my brushes that I brought over, but decidedly better than the Urban Decay. Now, the Urban Decay little brush was so bad that I couldn't and wouldn't ever use it. This is one that if I were traveling or doing something like a real quick touch-up in an airport type situation, that I could rely on. But if I have a choice, I will not. I hope that kind of makes sense. All right, this is a very light shade. That's okay. Remember, this has like color correcting properties in it. All right, so let's let it sit for a second. And of course, a lot of people you know what I'm going to do? Before I blend it, I'm going to do what so many people do, and that is to put on the rest of it and let it sit for a moment before I blend. Let's just do that, shall we? Okay, so this has a real flexible doe foot too, which we're seeing a lot of with a lot of different products now, real flexible doe foot. Okay, so as I let the rest of that just kind of sit and chill for a moment, take a look here. This is the dark pits of despair that I have on my eyes, treated just with this kind of concealer color corrector. Now, and here it is without any treatment at all, just left to its own natural dark pits of despair self. Devices. And I can see looking in, forget these polka dots that are chilling out for a second. I can see looking into the viewfinder already that there's definitely, well, certainly it's brightening because it's probably a bit too light of a shade. Let me just tell you one little pet peeve, you guys, and I don't know if this will bother you as well. This is a rounded little bottom. This is picky, but you'll notice this in every day. This is rounded, so it can't sit like that. It's going to have to sit like this, which means it's going to roll right off your table. All right, let me use one of my Sonia G brushes now that I've let that kind of sit and just chill for a moment. They're a lot easier to work with when you do that. I'm just going to blend that in. Not a bad little concealer, actually. Not bad at all. Okay, so obviously way too light of a shade. Kind of glad that I'm going to be putting a foundation that's more my skin color over it, because this looks a little bit like a Phantom of the Opera mask at this point. But that is annoying, that rounded bottom, because it's going to roll right off because I can't. You get it. Okay, so nose is still a little red, needs some concealer. Obviously, I haven't put on any foundation, but here you go. Here's my coverage on this side of my face, redness and all that stuff. And here's zero coverage at all on this side of my face. I will conceal the other side off camera so you don't have to sit through it. And let's put some makeup over it and let's see what we think. Okay, here is our finished look. What do you think? I have added the Laura Mercier, the brand new Laura Mercier foundation over the top. And I do have some kind of a wild, kind of peachy, rosy look to my eye. So don't let that interfere with your opinion. You know, what is my thinking here? Well, I told you I cannot stand the rounded bottom. That's just... You know, it becomes important when you're busy and it's rolling off your table, really. The little brush on the top is certainly much more useful than the Urban Decay brush, but the Urban Decay brush isn't useful at all. So, I mean, I suppose no brush is more useful than that one. But, you know, in a pinch, this one does work, though I prefer my own brush. I find the coverage to be really adequate and nice. Keeping in mind that I really don't like those really thick Pat McGrath original Tarte Shape Tape concealers, okay? So keep that in mind, those cake up on me. So I do like that this is kind of a light medium. For those of you who tell me, and many of you have, that you just don't have the time, really, or the capacity for putting on a color corrector and then a concealer, if you just want something that kind of does both, this one definitely works. There's a huge shade range. As you saw, the shade I picked was a little too light. Funnily enough, you know, interestingly enough, I have found that I actually like to put it on before I put on the rest of my foundation because it acts a little bit like a brightener and a color corrector before the makeup goes on. New way to do things. We're always learning and growing, aren't we? So I do think that this is a good little product. I really feel that though my Tarte color corrector, which I am now devoted to for life, maybe mixed with this might be a great option if you just want to get some things concealed and get on with your day. I think this would be a really, really nice product for you. And like I said, color choice, you know, mine was a little too light, but it seems just fine. I have it linked below at Ulta, Sephora, and QVC for, you know, a super cheapo price. You get 2 of them. If you go through a lot of concealer, that might be a smart purchase. Check out those links below. But let me know your thoughts. I mean, this is my 4th concealer video. And it could be my 4th color corrector if we're thinking of this as kind of both video just in the past week or so. So there's a lot to compare. Go ahead and ask me questions below. I have heard many of you say that I need to do some sort of a concealer recap video, and I probably, frankly, do. Gee, what's my favorite color corrector? I wonder if I've mentioned it in the past few videos. So that one wouldn't be a mystery. But, you know, I'm happy to discuss all of that. Let me know your thoughts and what you need to know, and I'll kind of garner that information as well. It's what makes us a community. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I sure hope that you did. If you haven't already done so, I would love it if you can subscribe so we can keep growing. While you're at it, come give me a big hello and a follow over on Instagram and TikTok too. You can become a bigger part of this channel by giving super thanks, which so many of you have done, or by becoming a member for members only lives and such. But in any way that you are involved, I'm just thrilled to have you here, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye-bye.